Hello lovely yoga people, and welcome to this week's video. So this week we're working with the element of fire, and you can see here I've got my little candle burning. So the element of fire is about the Manipura chakra, which is like the solar plexus here. So we can begin by just putting the hands onto the belly here and feeling the fire in the belly. So if you're happy to close your eyes, you can do so. Just closing the eyes or lowering the gaze and breathing gently into the fire in the belly, the Manipura chakra. Just working with that gently for a few moments. We're not going to be here for very long. Beautiful. So we're going to do another little breathing technique here, which is called the breath of fire. And it's very simple, but it can take a little bit of getting used to. So all it is that you can bring your hands more out to the sides, but still on your belly here. And all it is it's a sharp exhale through the nose, and then you just breathe in. Well, the inhale just comes in naturally, so it's like this. So you can see that my belly here is going in sharply as I exhale. So I'm not going to do lots more of that here, but you can practice that. You can stop the video and practice it if you want. And we're going to do a bit of it as we go on through the video. And if you come to the classes, of course, we're going to do a lot more. So you might need a chair if you're somebody who's working with a chair. You'll need a mat, and I suggest having a soft block or a cushion. And so get your stuff together, and you can meet me on the mat. So before we start, I'm just going to go through a couple of modifications that people can use if they're using a chair. So we'll start with Sphinx that we will be doing. So if it's not possible for you to lie on your front on the floor, then what you can do is, instead of this, have your hands on your knees, be sitting on your chair, and what you do is you push your chest forward and you look up. So you're not cranking the head back, but just taking the head a little bit back, and then if you want to, lift the arms up, and that brings your torso into the position that you would be if you were in Sphinx. So the next one is downward dog. So you come into a position like this so that it's kind of like you're on all fours, but you're standing. And what you do is you take your feet backwards so that it brings you into a longer position here. And then making sure that you keep the knees bent, you then just drop the head down towards the knees. Let the head go. Shoulders and head dropping towards the knees, trying to keep the arms straight. So then plank is a very similar position. So we're back in the starting position of the dog. But then what you do is you just bring yourself forward. So this is why you've got your chair partly on the thing so that it doesn't slip away. So you then bring your shoulders over your hands like this. And I'm pushing down through my heels. And from here we'll be using the breath of fire. So you can do that. So that's what we'll be doing in the plank. And then for the four-armed plank, it's exactly the same thing, just coming down onto the forearms like this. It's a bit of a stronger pose. You can take the feet out a little bit. So it's exactly the same, but it's just that you're not actually on the ground, and it's then easier for you then to find your way back up. So the modification for all fours, cat and cow, is simply to sit in the chair. You can have your hands coming out like this, so you're more or less in the same position you would be if you were on all fours. And then you just inhale, take the belly forwards and look up. And then as you exhale, take the spine backwards and look between the knees. So we're going to begin in a comfortable seated position. So if crossed legs doesn't work for you, you can always be like this or like that, or even sitting on a chair, whatever works for you for this first bit. Okay? And we're going to begin by just taking the hands out to the sides, and then we're just going to raise the arms up and take a twist. So we're not staying there. So coming back through and exhaling into the twist. So we're going to go back both ways. So inhaling up, exhaling into the twist, looking behind you. Inhaling up and exhaling into the twist. So we're going to come back to the middle and then do something slightly different. So we're going to go up, see if you can touch the hands above. If you can't, that's fine. And then we're going to exhale and just bring both hands down. So one onto the bottom, one onto the knee here. And then we're going to look behind us and breathe for 3 breaths. And then we're going to raise up again, taking the hands up above the head and come back to the other side and holding there. So I've got one hand on my bum, one hand on my knee, looking behind me, 3 breaths. Beautiful. Lovely. So now we're going to transition onto all fours. So I'm going to invite you, if you've got a cushion or a soft block, it's a really good idea to have it under the knees, but you don't have to. I like to do this because I like to look after my knees. So I'm taking hands, sun ray fingers, so really, really spreading the fingers, palms of the hands just in front of the shoulders. Tops of the feet can be down or up, whatever you like. And we're going to inhale, looking forward, taking the spine to the floor. Exhale, looking between the knees, spine to the ceiling. So working with your own breath for 2 or 3 breaths. Beautiful. And then we're going to come back to a neutral spine. So from here, looking between the hands here, and then we're going to step 1 foot forward, and we're going to do a little lunge, just opening the hips a little bit, because we're going to be working with this later. And then just come back down, swapping over, other leg forward, just to give us a little bit of a warm up in the hips. From here, looking between the hands here, we're going to take 1 foot out behind us, tucking the toes, so the toes are tucked on the mat like that, and we're going to push back through the heel, and then coming back up and going the other way with the other foot, so pushing through that heel. Lovely, and just doing that again, pushing through the heel on each side. And then what we're going to do, once we've done that, is this time we're just going to leave that foot where it is. So you're gazing down between your thumbs here. And then we're going to come into the plank. So I'm just going to bring the other foot up to meet this one. If that feels too much for you, then just keep one knee down. You can do that just for a couple of breaths and then bring the other knee down. And again, so we're just going to work with this. Now, if you're happy here, we can work with the breath of fire. So a few breaths like that. If it's too much, you can just have one knee down and still work with the breath of fire. So whatever you're doing. And then we're going to drop down and we're going to take the knees wide either side of the cushion, big toes together, dropping back down and take the head down onto the ground. So from here, we're going to come up, take the hands forward tucking the toes, and we're going to come gently up into a downward dog. So keeping the knees bent and trying to relax into this as much as you can. Breathing here, taking the chest towards the knees, all of the weight through the hands, and just gently lowering the heels down, but not trying to straighten the legs. Beautiful. And then from here, we can come back down through all fours, and we're going to come into a four-armed plank. So it's the same thing. You can do this on the chair as well. It's the same thing, except that you're doing it from the forearm, so it's a bit stronger. So again, you can just go keeping one knee down and then bringing the other one up, or if you want to come up to the plank, forearm plank properly like this, and then we're going to do the breath of fire. So I've done 10 there. You can continue for as long as you like. And then we'll drop the hands down. And again, just take a little moment in whatever resting position you like. And then we're going to move forward into the Sphinx. So coming forward, and we're dropping the whole of the body into the Sphinx. So I've got tops of the feet down, resting my hips on the ground. I've got my elbows underneath my shoulders here, getting a bit of cramp in my foot. Spreading the fingers wide and just looking forward. So this is opening for the neck, opening for the chest. So we're kind of imagining ourselves clawing ourselves forward here. And then from here, we're going to take one arm, it doesn't really matter which one, I'm doing this one arm out to the side, the other arm on the ground beside your moob or boob, and then rolling over and opening in. So we're really opening the whole of the front of the body here. Couple of breaths there. And then we're going to come back through, taking the other arm out, just doing it on the other side. Beautiful here. Seeing if you can have this foot on the ground. 3 breaths here. And then coming back, you can rest in the crocodile. So taking the feet wide, hands underneath the head, rocking the hips a little bit from side to side, and taking a good sigh out. So from all fours, just looking between the thumbs, then I'm going to tuck the toes and lift the bottom up, and we can just gently take a couple of little walking the dog, dropping one heel and then the other, then coming into a still place for a moment. We're going to raise the right leg and then bend that leg and do nose to knee, so bring that through. And then taking the leg up again, and then if you can step through, stepping the leg through. If it's too difficult, come down and bring that leg through. So we've come into our nice lunge again, and we're just going to lunge forward, taking the arms up above the body, and then we're going to open out on an exhale, doing a beautiful twist here. Inhaling, exhaling, opening to a twist. Last time to a twist. And then we're going to inhale, bring the knee back down, and we're going to come back into all fours and do that on the other side. So the left leg lifts, bringing that knee through, inhaling up, and this time seeing if you can step that foot through, and if you can, then we're going to come up and do a gentle lunge forward, then raising up the arms and opening out into our twist the other way. Inhaling up, exhaling, twisting open. Inhaling up once more, twisting open. So then from here we're going to come back to the dog. Taking a moment here. So this is where there's a modification. So if you want to stay with the knee down, you can. So just going back into the lunge like we've just done. Or if you want to come up into the high lunge, this is what you do. So you lift your right leg. We're going to see if we can step that right leg through. If you can't, put your knee down and then come up into the high lunge like this. So from here, I'm going to come up, just opening that back hamstring, pushing through that back heel a little bit. And then from here, I'm going to bring my arms up and overhead and bring the hands down into prayer position in front of the heart. I'm going to turn my back to you now. So I'm going to do a twist and bring the opposite elbow onto this knee. And then see if I can bring my heart to the side. So I'm helping my chest round with my elbows. Beautiful. So you can stay here, or if you want something a bit harder, what you can do is do a little hop and come forward. So you've got the feet together, knees together, so we're in a sort of funny little chair position here. And then just continuing that twist round. Beautiful. Then we can drop down, or if you've got blood pressure issues, just coming, holding the head at heart height. And then we'll step back into the dog and just do it on the other side. So we're going to raise the left leg up. See if we can step that foot through, helping it through. Bringing the knee down if this is not possible for you. Coming up into a high lunge and just pressing down through that back heel. So we're going to bring arms up and hands together in front of the heart and taking the twist the other way. So elbow onto that knee and seeing if we can just come into this beautiful twist here. And then only if it works for you, stepping forward. So we're into this little chair position here, doing the same thing. Beautiful. And then everyone coming down. And we're going to drop down. Knees out to the side, big toes together, dropping back into the pose of the child. Just to take some nice resting breaths here, resting, letting everything go. And then when you're ready, we can come over onto the other side, onto our backs is what I mean. We can come down onto our backs, bring the knees up into the chest, have a little rock from side to side, and then either have the feet on the floor and take the feet over to the side, arms out to at shoulder height, or you can bring the knees right up and take the hands down and have one hand on top of that knee, looking over the other arm and breathing. So this is just a nice, gentle counter pose here. So coming up and dropping down to the other side, taking a look over the other way. And then just taking any movements that your body might want. So you might want to come up into a little bridge for a moment. You might want to come up into a little ball. You might want to have a stretch, just doing whatever you want to do. And then bringing your feet out mat width apart, arms down by the side with the palms facing up. Just have a little wiggle of the limbs and then let go, closing the eyes if that's comfortable for you. And we're just going to give ourselves a little bit of time here just to rest. So you can stay here as long as you like.